cosmic perspective, which I know if people had, you would never be leading armies into battle. Do you know how ridiculous it looks to the person with the cosmic perspective that one general says to the other, I'm going to conquer that land across this line. You're going to do what? What? On this speck you call Earth? You want to kill people for what? For oil, for energy, for real? The cosmic perspective reorders what is important in this world. And it does it in, I think, the noblest of ways, by recognizing not what makes us all different, but what makes us all common. Together, alone, with the fate of our planet and our civilization in our hands.
In case you didn't recognize him, that was Dr. Neil DeGrasse Tyson, an astrophysicist and internationally recognized science communicator. In this rendered clip of him as a guest on a talk show, among other things, he discussed his thoughts from his book and what it would mean to have a cosmic perspective. He believes that if humans had a deeper understanding of our place in the universe, it would help us effectively navigate the complex challenges facing society today. He emphasizes that we must think beyond earthly concerns and consider how our actions impact not just future generations, but other life forms and the planet itself. We noticed that some commenters said he was a genius, and some wondered where he could have come up with that idea, as it seemed largely different than mainstream thinking. Though understand that all thoughts that originate are firstly abstract, then over time, they form connections to various networks in your brain in order to be processed fully. For those who are new to this line of thinking, you will be happy to know this perspective is shared by possibly billions of people with subtle to extreme variations, giving us the opportunity to share our unique spectrum of understanding with you here today. By gaining this broader perspective, we can make more informed decisions based on long-term consequences rather than immediate gratification. Additionally, we too, like Dr. Tyson, advocate for scientific literacy and critical thinking skills as essential tools in shaping both personal and collective futures within this larger cosmic context. Overall, his message seeks to inspire individuals and societies towards more sustainable, responsible paths of growth, while promoting wonder and appreciation for the mysteries of the universe around us. We, the members of the last religion, have parallel convictions that stem from a philosophy that uses a zoomed-out scientific lens as one of our primary tools, like that of Dr. Tyson's cosmic perspective. We also often utilize semantic broadening or symbology of scientific terminology, such as the word spectrum, as an integral part of our belief system. As we all know, the spectrum of visible light that the human eye can detect is actually an extremely narrow perspective overall. Zooming out and utilizing what we call the universal spectrum of understanding, we see that, in many ways other than light, humans have limited vision. With this spectrum, we have ascertained that underlyingly, even when it seems undetectable, that every action humans take is at the base purely survival. Every observation is a coping method to counterbalance the unknown, and everything beyond that base description is embellishment, which leads to validation. When humans observe, we must divide and define, which is then naturally integrated into our own unique spectrums of understanding. Each of us has a chemistry of the self, a valid subjective unique perspective, our own custom problem-solving algorithm. This is why when we think we are right, we know we are right, even when others think we are wrong. The formula to the chemistry of the self is social conditioning derived from environmental factors, which comes from economic factors and genetic inheritance. More on this topic is available in our book and in videos in the future. With the universal spectrum of understanding as a primary tool, we recognize that all visible matter that manifests in the world exists in multiplicitous states of energy beyond the basic visible spectrum. This viewpoint is, of course, grounded in science. This is also why you can look at everything through the lens of mathematics and geometry. We also recognize that due to the nature of this reality, everything that has emerged for us to intake as stimulus is also a formula that is unsolvable by design. Once emerged, everything in existence, while not having a way to fully solve for X in its own capacity, must naturally go through a period of self-discovery before the universal spectrum of understanding can even begin to come into focus. navigating the complex challenges we face in our society today, as stated earlier, is what we, members of TLR, refer to as navigating the systems. The universe is a system and everything within it is a subsystem. When zoomed out, viewing ourselves from the universal spectrum of understanding, we call the complex challenges humans face here on Earth the dissonant human ambience. You might wonder why we use this terminology. Utilizing the lens of science, we see the reason is that at the base of everything, we have energy, and that energy vibrates. That vibration plays a song, and therefore, the dissonance is only there because we are unable to harmonize. Yet thankfully, it is because of the entropy of that dissonance amongst the harmony that over time the last religion has been able to emerge from what we refer to as the background information. There is an algorithmic yet spiritually poetic reasoning why our belief system corresponds with the greatest scientific minds that humankind has come to know and celebrate. We address these deep introspections and more in our book, which contains an expanded version of our philosophy and its supporting scientific reasoning, starting with the Manifesto we call the Message from the Universe. We refer to any affirmation that we can utilize with the universal lens as a successful and, more importantly, useful extraction from the background information, which we believe many religious folks in the past might have referred to as divine knowledge, or what we believe Socrates might have been aspiring to define as a true form. Yet understand that what is being relayed to you right now is a hyper-evolution of some of yesterday's esoteric understandings combined with the scientific lens of today. We seek to rebuild the foundation of society with this spectrum of understanding because we know that with it we are able to see beyond the veil, revealing the core motivations of even sociological aspects of this world. Of course, minus any over-embellishment that the ego might bring us along the way. Realize that we all draw this knowledge from the same well. It is just that given the variables of the spectrums of understanding and other specific factors within those spectrums, we cover in our book that the overall message from the universe previously was not recognizable. Therefore, understand that the information that we provide is supplemental to any pre-established belief system and should not hinder anyone on their current path or trajectory. Building upon the principles of the universal spectrum of understanding with our collective knowledge, we are excited to announce that we now have the proper key to unlocking an all-encompassing new perspective. The bridges built by the last religion will unify all belief systems because the universal spectrum of understanding is wholly transcendental, thus paradigm-shattering. As a whole, we cannot afford to continue to make the same mistakes of the past. By now, we should all be able to understand that the belief systems of the old, although subjectively true to an individual culture, are objectively false for the overall collective. We must build bridges to unify our unique songs, finding those frequencies that create the harmony to overcome the dissonance. We must cease to divide the energies and instead marry them to create an opus magnum. For the universe speaks in all dialects simultaneously, and it is up to us to compose and harmonize them. Utilizing a zoomed-out lens, also realize that a religion is also a philosophy and a business, and thankfully is still protected in our constitutional rights. Our plan of action will forge pathways for all belief systems so that we can come to a peaceful convergence. What we have extracted from the background information reveals what the universe has been trying to tell us since day one. By combining two famous quotes, we can have a better understanding at an aspect of our aspirations. The whole is nothing but the sum of its parts, and the parts are nothing but the whole. Yet, the whole is more than the sum of the parts. Some of you might also have already realized that this is the underlying reason that humanity historically has not been able to grasp the big picture, the how the universe came to be question, and the even bigger question of why we were separated from the Creator. Most of us understand that the mission of life is to overcome limitations. Ironically, in the most humanistic fashion, we have been doing this but in error, because we cannot truly think deep down that we can achieve nirvana without equally sharing both responsibility and resources with everyone to get there. When utilizing the universal spectrum of understanding, we see that all systems are ultimately the same. Therefore, we need to understand that the one and only mistake regardless of whom we want to blame, for the cause of all dissonance in this world is the belief that some humans are flawed or deserve less. All of society's foundation has been built upon the proverbial sand, which is why our ancestors were left with the blueprints for building and maintaining a false society. With a zoomed-out lens, some have also quote-unquote awakened enough to understand what some might have thought was the original sin. As useful as it was for every society since, we cannot turn away from facing the fact that it was also a convenient cover story to justify the utilization of classism. That cataclysmic divergence was a fate that we can change by now, coming together and forging it into our new destiny. The inherited false system, as we all know, continues to this day. Those who hold power have spent roughly 2 centuries hoarding knowledge and resources, wreaking havoc and destruction along the way. They navigate in secrecy, yet propagate their mobility by virtue signaling, but behind the curtain they operate with unfettered hypocrisy, masking their dealings with plausible deniability, gaslighting, and misinformation. They used to lie upon the periphery, but we now see them for who they are. With a universal lens at the base, everything is energy, but also in a state of multiplicity both in time and space. We have come to know that the universe operates in cycles. We realize that we have countlessly been formed stars and reborn from the ashes on so many levels. Therefore, as a whole, we must understand that it is not another apocalypse or the never-ending wait of the return of the gods that stops us from attaining a heaven on earth. The veil of the false system has hindered us all from seeing the full spectrum of the light of the capacity of humankind. The false system we live in now is the X and the Y. We fail to Z everything. It is up to us to come together and truly understand the source of all dissonance, of inequality. We must compose a new song to overcome the only obstacle that has ever existed. That song begins with the message from the universe, and will never end once you join us and become one of the many, the members of the last religion.
Hello, I'm Emerson Ryan's AI-generated avatar from the Last Religion audio, video book. To continue this project, I need substantial financial funding and stability. Please donate, like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, purchase my book on Amazon, and if possible donate directly. Links are in the About section. Thank you for your support, and know that I cannot and do not want to do this without you. Plug yourself in and let's begin the heal and manifest a paradigm shift so we can usher in a new world.